Welcome back to another episode of the Hotel Fit Show. I'm Leo Amarim, and I'm here to help you improve your physical and mental health around your crazy hospitality schedule. And yeah, today I've been having an amazing day so far because I had a gigantic piece of steak at lunchtime. And I think I had enough steak to survive for a couple of days. At least. Good times. Guys, we better enjoy steak while it's not illegal. If you think just because I'm a fitness coach that I'm plant-based, then you're totally wrong. I'm definitely not a plant-based coach. And I don't know if you're plant-based or not, but if you're here right now, I do know a couple of things about you. You work in the hospitality industry, you want to lose fat, you want to improve your fitness, you want to improve your health, you want to improve your energy levels, you want to be more confident in yourself, and you want to be happier. And so I just want to say, guys, that I feel absolutely privileged to be able to have you guys as an audience. I am aware that you are a group of over 200 people of highly talented hospitality individuals that have years of experience in the industry, talented chefs and talented managers and talented business owners, and people who really strive for success in the hospitality industry. And so I know, and this is one of the things that I actually said on a call to someone this week, usually people who have the character traits that are necessary to succeed in hospitality, they automatically have the necessary character traits to succeed in health and fitness because they can be correlated. Because one thing that I've noticed over the years is that usually my clients who are successful in hospitality, they will be successful in fitness, and the other way around. Like people who are maybe not yet successful in hospitality, they don't have yet that career track record, but they are successful in following like the processes, and they have the right patience and consistency, they will end up being very successful in hospitality too. Of course, like unpredictable things can happen, but that's usually the trend because it has more to do with character traits and personality than actually skills, because skills can be developed. But personality traits and identity requires making mistakes and requires being like opening to learning and being very determined to progress, which hospitality is not an easy industry. So you got to be determined to get somewhere. And the same thing for health and fitness. Not everyone can manage to lose a lot of weight and be fit and healthy, because most people are not fit and healthy, especially in hospitality, which is so difficult. But yeah, guys, I'm just going to double check if I am in the right group, if the live streaming is working correctly. Yes, it is. Awesome, guys. Yeah, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about the 5 fat loss mistakes that are stalling your progress as a hospitality pro and how to fix them. And today, this training will actually be divided in 2 parts. Today's part 1 out of 2, because there's a lot of information here. And I want to keep this short and sweet for you. I don't want to overload you with too much information at once, because I know how busy you are. And I also don't want you to have too much in here so you get confused. So if you're here with me right now and excited to learn some strategies, comment live. And equally, if you're watching the recording, comment replay. And that lets me know that you've been around. And so, first of all, if you got a pen and paper around, get that and let's dive in, because as I said, there's going to be a lot of information and I want you to implement this information after you watch this live training. I don't want you to be consuming things, and that is that. Okay, I want you to take action with the things that you learn in these live trainings. And so one of your goals is to lose fat, but obviously you've been struggling with that. And the reason being is you've been making some of the mistakes that I'm going to talk next. And those mistakes are absolutely normal for the majority of people, and even more so if you work in the hospitality industry, as you know. And last week, I was actually having this conversation with an old buddy of mine that studied with me in the hospitality school, and he recently just joined this group, and he was saying that he was struggling with his health and he needed to do something. And so I asked him, okay, what are you struggling with? What are your goals? And he said, well, I'm working 11 to 12 hours a day, and I don't have much time, and I need to lose weight, and so I'm going to start running. And so that's what he told me. And my thought process was, all right, okay, he works 12 hours per day in hospitality, just like the majority of people that work in hospitality in at least a leadership position, right? Because if you are at least on a supervisory level, you will work like over 10 hours, and I think 12 hours is usually the norm. And so what he said was like normal. Yes, he works 12 hours a day in hospitality. Then he said that he needed to lose fat, which is like something normal, like many in hospitality. And then he thinks that the solution is to start going and doing some runs. Okay, and this is kind of a thought process that brings me back to my own hospitality days when I thought the solution for my own fat problem was just doing cardio. Okay, and guys, that's the mistake number one. The only sustainable solution for a fat loss problem, if you work in hospitality, I'm telling you, that is nutrition. That's the numero uno. Because here's the thing, you can exercise 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. You can work out your butt off and still see no results. Okay, you can go for a 5K run every single day of the week and still not see results if your nutrition it's not cooperating in the back end. Okay, and this ends up being a very restrictive approach, because if you think your solution is to run to lose fat, you will automatically believe that the more you run, the more fat you lose. And so you will think, like, when you run and then you don't see any results, you'll just think that if I don't see any results, it's because I'm not running enough. And that whole perspective will be like self-defeating for you and will lead to failure. And so I'm talking from my own experience, and I'm talking from speaking with dozens of people in hospitality daily that struggle with their health. And so this is what happens every single time. And look, guys, if you are like retired at some point, you have plenty of time, or if you are like unemployed, or if you happen like if you sell your business and all of a sudden you got a lot of time, then maybe if you're exercising your butt off for 2 hours every day, maybe you lose weight if you don't do anything about your nutrition. But realistically, can you sustain like a very restrictive physical exercise routine and force yourself to do that every day for a long enough period of time so it's consistent for you? And like realistically, you cannot maintain it on a consistent basis. On the other hand, if you don't exercise to lose fat, you can lose fat using nutrition only. Okay, if you have a very good nutrition strategy, and if you are like relatively active, you can have really impressive results without even implementing exercise. And one of the examples that I will give now was last week, my client Paulie, like he lost 15 pounds in a week, and he's done that without any workout routine implemented into his program yet. Okay, so he's just like doing the nutrition strategy and being active and having accountability for being active. Okay, so that is that. So you can have amazing results just with nutrition alone. Now, if you need to work on your conditioning and your stamina, that's something completely different. Then you do need the exercise. But today we're just going to talk about the fat loss. And I want to give you another example. One of you guys in the group, he has 2 kids. He's also on a management position at his hotel, and he unfortunately smokes. And unfortunately, his wife left him last year, and so he's the single parent of 2 kids, and he gained a lot of weight, and so he's like on a little bit of a depressive state. But the thing is, he thinks he cannot do anything about his health because he doesn't have time for exercise, when actually your fat loss problem is not solved with exercise. And many people have this like limiting belief, and that's why they don't start doing stuff, because when will I have time to go to the gym? Because if I don't go to the gym, I won't see any results, and that's not true. Okay, you can have excellent fat loss results with the nutrition on its own. And so I want to ask you, have you ever thought or think you could solve a fat loss problem by doing more exercise? Yes or no? If you have, drop the number 1 in the comments, and that lets me know. And let's go to the mistake number 2. And I want you to imagine something with me. You're having one of these days. Imagine like the worst day that you ever had in hospitality. In your career in hospitality, the worst day ever. Think about it. And let's imagine it's a busy Saturday for you. Your restaurant is completely crowded. Your hotel is fully booked. Or your business, like you have like a lot of volume and you're short-staffed. People are queuing up, waiting to have a table to have their meals. People are starting to complain because the service is running slow, and all of a sudden there's like a leak in the ceiling of your restaurant, and you're expected to be the one solving the problem because there's water dripping into like a table, and your guests are eating their food and it's raining on top of them, and you need to solve that problem. At the same time, there's like children screaming and running around your restaurant. And at the same time, there's like someone in the kitchen, one of the kitchen staff, he had to go home because he was having a mental health issue. And now you got -1 in the kitchen. And that is happening all at the same time. And then on table number 5, you got this lady that's very upset because the Wi-Fi signal is not working well, like where she is, and like she ordered a well-done steak, and now she got a medium rare, so she's really upset. You got to solve that problem, everything at the same time. You get like 14 hours of this, and you manage to survive this long day after the 14 hours. But what's the first thing that you want to do after work? I know what's the last thing that you want to do after work. The last thing that you want to do is get on your trainers and go to the gym. You want to do something else. And for me, from my own personal experience, the thing that I would like to do the most when I had those kind of days was to run directly to the bar next door and have a fresh pint of the most amazing, super fresh beer that I would drink almost at once. And so that's what I would do to kind of, relieve like that, all that tension that I had accumulated all across the day. And once like that beer is done, I feel a little bit more relaxed. I feel a little bit numb, and I order some French fries. I unwind a little bit, and then I would go home and order a KFC or something. Okay. The next day, the alarm rings. It's 7 a.m. You gotta get ready to go to work. You're already in the rush. You slept another 5 hours, and so you're tired from the week. And here you go. And like this is the cycle, guys. And so comment to number 2 below if you've ever been in this situation or similar situation in hospitality, regardless if you're a chef or if you work at a front desk or housekeeping or whatever. Comment to number 2 if you ever had one of those days. And I'm sure you must have had it, because you work in hospitality long enough, you will have those days. And definitely, if you're at least on a supervisory level, you most likely will have these days. And this happened to me plenty of times, many times over the years. And that's how I know that for me and for a lot of people in the industry, the best feeling in the world was that beer, that beer that you had after a long day. Because at the end of the day, you're dehydrated, you're tired, and like that beer is just fresh, and like it just numbs you down and takes the pressure off your shoulders. For me, it was beer, but for a lot of people, it's a certain form of drugs, and this could also be food as well. You can definitely use food as a coping mechanism. But look, here's the thing. There will always be stressful days in this industry, whether you want it or not. And most days will be exhausting. And you can't really control that unless you move to a different industry. So unless you move to a different industry, what you should do instead of driving to the pub, you drive to the gym instead. And I know that like this sounds like not fun at all. Like the pub is definitely more interesting, but on a long term, it's more fun to be healthier. It's more fun to being able to catch up with your kids and not having to carry around those extra pounds of belly fat, guys. Okay, so mistake number 2 is to really rely on coping mechanisms that in no way, shape, or form will contribute for your long-term health and happiness. Okay, and as a matter of fact, the same level of decompression can be attained by a good exercise session. So get your gym bag ready the day before. That's what I would do, and that worked. Get the trainers ready, organize your timetable so you can actually hit your sessions a certain amount of times a week, and go for it. And mistake number 3, back when I was overweight and I had those moments where my uniform, like at work, started getting tight. And in those, I have holidays in 3 months and I still need to lose those 30 pounds moments, when I had those moments, I always think, okay, I'm fat, and my solution would be to eat less and do more cardio. And that was my frame of mind, and that's why I failed so many times. And so I didn't have a structure. Like eating less and doing more cardio is not a plan. That is not a plan. That is not a specific goal, and that is not a structure. Okay. So if you don't have that, things are going to be really difficult. And I want you to imagine that you're opening a hotel business or a restaurant. You're opening your own restaurant, and you say that you need a room and you need to cook food, and that's it. Okay, you still need to do those things, of course, but that on its own, like a room and cooking food, are not going to make you have a successful business, right? You have a lot of things that you have to consider. You consider what's your budget to invest on, like the property. You need to invest, like, what's your ideal market? What's your menu? Like, how much staff do you need? Like the legislation of your local area, and so many other things that you need to take in consideration that can be really complicated if you don't have a plan. And especially if it's your first business that you open, if your first restaurant, if you've never done it before and you want to try it on your own, you might lose a lot of money because you'll make a lot of mistakes, and it might take you ages to figure things out. And so the same happens with health and fitness. It's the same thing. You got to have a plan and a structure, and it's easier to rely on help from someone that has been through the same mistakes that you're about to do. Okay, so if you want to open your restaurant, just don't think that you know everything and then you're going to cook great food and you'll have a space and that's it. You have a successful business. Right? Actually, a lot of people make that mistake. That's why most businesses are actually not successful the first time. And so that's the same thing. And the mistake number 3, it's not having a specific action plan to get there. And that is in restaurant businesses, in hotel businesses, in health and fitness too. And so is this making sense so far, guys? If it's making sense, comment yes below. And I'm going to quickly recap what we've gone through right now before we wrap up. And if you got a pen and paper, just write this down. Number one mistake, thinking that work cardio is what's going to solve your fat loss problem. Number 2, relying on bad coping mechanisms that are absolutely detrimental long-term. And number 3, not having a specific action plan. And those are the 3 mistakes, all right? And let me know in the comments below, which one of these mistakes have you done before? I'd love to know. And tomorrow, as I said, I don't want to give you everything at once because that's going to be confusing. I don't want to overwhelm you. So I'm going to be here tomorrow at the same time. I'm going to go through the second part of this training where we are going to explore the other 2 mistakes you've been making that are stalling your progress. And I'm also going to give you some bonus strategies to make sure you don't make the mistakes. I sure as hell made all of those mistakes back in my days. It took me many years to figure this out. So if you can avoid them, that'll be awesome. And so if you like this training, like the training, give me a thumbs up and I'll see you here in about 24 hours. Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this content valuable, you can find additional help for free by joining the Hospitality Fitness community on Facebook at thehotelfit.com or facebook.com/hospitality fitness community. There's a ton of cool stuff happening, as well as a massive amount of free resources and information. So join us at the Hospitality Fitness community.